latest updates, subscribe to News 9.
Hello, you're watching News 9 Digital. I'm Abhijit Singh and today I'll be talking to you about the medical protocols that has been put in place by the BCCI with respect to IPL 13 as far as their players and support staff is concerned. So first things first. Now the BCCI will conduct minimum of 2 tests, COVID-19 tests for all the players and support staff before the team leaves for the UAE. Now what happens during this 2 testings? These 2 tests will be conducted within a space of 24 hours and that too before the players meet for the 14-day quarantine period right here in India. Now if any player or a support staff tests positive, then what happens? Then he will miss the 14-day quarantine period with the team, and then after a period of 14 days, he will again undergo 2 rounds of COVID-19 tests. Now, if he tests negative, then he is allowed to join the team then, or else if he is tested positive again, then he'll again undergo a 14-day quarantine period. Now, once the team leaves from India to the UAE, there will be a total of 3 rounds of COVID-19 testing. Now, if any player or support staff tests positive, then he will undergo another 14 days of quarantine period and will not be allowed to enter the biosecurity bubble or the bio bubble created by the BCCI at the hotels. Now, when the players have tested positive and then again after the quarantine period, he will again undergo a round of COVID-19 tests, a couple of them, and then if he tests negative, then he will be allowed to enter the biosecure bubble inside the hotel. Now, what happens inside the hotel? Inside the hotels, all the players and the officials will not be allowed to meet till the time all of them have tested negative at least thrice. That means all the officials, the players and the other supporting members will not be allowed to interact or meet each other till the time they have tested negative at least 3 times. Now what about the family members? Now the family members is one decision which has been left by the BCCI on the individual franchisees, but they too will have to undergo COVID-19 test once they enter the biosecure bubble inside the hotel. Now inside the hotel they will not be allowed, the family members will not be allowed to meet either the officials or the people associated with the IPL or even their own players. They won't be able to meet. Now what happens to the players who will fly from some other countries for example all the Australian players, the likes of Glenn Maxwell or the other players like Aaron Finch and other company, and even from South Africa, AB de Villiers and Chris Morris and all comes to the IPL. They also will have to undergo a minimum of 2 rounds of COVID-19 testing before they sit in the aeroplane to leave for the UAE. Now again, if any of them tests positive, then he will undergo a 14-day quarantine period and will not be allowed to join the biosecure bubble in the UAE. Now, what happens to the overall scenario? Overall, the BCCI has made it absolutely clear that every player, even after the commencement of the IPL, every player will have to undergo 1 COVID-19 test on the 5th day. That means if you take the duration of the tournament to be 53 days, then on an average, if you do all the maths, then a player will undergo 11 COVID-19 tests, and that happens after he has entered the biosecure bubble. So clearly the BCCI is very strict as far as the medical protocols is concerned, and no player is allowed to breach COVID-19 protocols and also either the biosecure bubble once they enter the hotel. Fans will not be allowed, spectators will not be allowed, all they will be hanging together, the team will be hanging together, and like I said, every 5th day they will undergo a COVID-19 test. So clearly there are a lot of medical protocols in place for the BCCI to take care of the players, and rightfully so given the COVID-19 environment. Yes, the UAE is one of those countries where the minimum mortality rate as far as COVID-19 is concerned, but no player would like to miss out on the IPL. Now what do you think about the video? Do you think that the BCCI is absolutely spot on as far as the medical protocol is concerned, and also the testing for players doesn't end there? What happens is they have also asked, the BCCI has also asked the individual franchisees to carry out COVID-19 tests if a player shows symptoms of COVID-19. So clearly this COVID-19 symptoms, COVID-19 tests will actually test the player more rather than their skills on the ground. Do send in your comments and feedback, and I'll be looking forward to the same. In the meantime, do not forget to subscribe to News 9 Digital across all social media platforms.